It's me, Galen. Galen's got Parkinson's. This is just a quick preamble to the next game video, which is going to be a battle following on from the last battle. The last battle I did using my 25mm miniature figurines fantasy, kindly acquired from my good wargaming friend Stu. All painted, everything's down to Stu. The way they look, everything. I don't take any credit for that, apart from the fact that I have liberated them. I used my own rules. I just sort of made rules up as I went along. Just, I suppose, to show when you solo wargaming, or if you wargaming with a good friend or somebody you're sort of intuitively linked to, you don't have to buy hardback 30-40 quid books and piles of cards and information. You can make up your own, and it is as much fun doing that as playing the game. It's like painting figures, researching what they were. That whole discussion. Now, this world we're looking at here, some of you are aware of, is my world of Jural, and the last battle took place in off to the east of here, and it took place at the end of the road that you come in at the bottom, underneath that letter G, between G and H. And it's heavily defended, that area, which is why there's several battles there. The orcs and goblins can't get through. But I decided that historically the goblins and orcs tend to be forced to work with other leaders, like necromancers, human commanders, even sort of orc tyrants. But generally they are a clan race. They fight amongst themselves in my world. As you can see, there's Stag clan there. That's their territory. So my theory was that the goblin army, orc army, was defeated, and as it withdrew, bits of it fell apart and moved away. And one lord decided that he wasn't going back with the crowd. He was going to go off and find his own new realm, set himself up as an independent chieftain. He was fed up, just been used as cannon fodder by worthy nutcases. So he came into the Upson Mountains across here, and what he found was the ruins of Clun, which was, if you watch Robin of Sherwood from the 80s, you'll know about Clun. But we played with a character Clun years ago, probably back in the 80s. And when we stopped doing that, we turned his his castle into ruins, and it was deserted. It's been deserted ever since. Now, this chieftain has found it, and he's thought, oh, you know what? This is quite a handy spot, because really it's in Upson. I can claim that. He can claim that entire square now as his own. In the south, there is a rift. You can see the brown lines where it says G, and right next to it there was, before I did this, a gap, a very juicy little gap leading down into the fertile land. So I decided, because I won the last battle, I get to do something proactive, and rather than pursue the goblin army, I have built a Motte and Bailey tower. At the moment, it's not even a castle. It's almost like a fortified camp in that gap to block it off. And the Gaian king has asked one of his earls to take command of that area and defend the flank. Frey, that you can see, before I started doing this, just had one house symbol. It was a little more than a village. But because it's now on an important route, I've been able to add another building, which now takes it to being a town. And a town gets a name, so I've called it Frey. The road was always there, but I can't afford a fortification and a road. I can have one or the other. So I want the fortification. So I've just put a track there, and I'm going to use the dwarfs that are allied to the Gaians to start building the fortress. What I'm going to... So, and at the end of that track, where it joins the road, any crossroad gets a village. So I'm going to say that it's a village of sort of the dwarf mining families, and perhaps the sort of the elf troops who are garrisoning the tower and the supply units and things like that. I'm going to draw a quarry on the map nestled into the hills. I'm going to do that now. I've got my glasses on. This will have more or less success depending on how badly I crash into the table and the map, and then I'll put it back up and I'll show you what I've done. There we go. So if I put that back there, so I've drawn a quarry on there now using the sort of a crude version of the Ordnance Survey map symbol, and that's all because of that victory. So I decided to put up the tower. That was my reward. The tower's just a wooden emplacement with a very small garrison. I'm going to do the battle with using Dragon Rampant completely without cheating. Unusual for me, but that's what I'm going to do, so you can see Dragon Rampant working. But that meant that I then wanted to make the tower better, so I bring dwarfs in to build it out of stone. They need somewhere to live, and that a track develops from where they live to the tower. They need stone, so they start quarrying. You can see there's a lot of timber around there, and there are hills. If there hadn't been hills, I wouldn't have done the quarrying. That means the village that was at Frey now becomes a town, because it's become more important, because it's now becoming a major supply route out to the west. So where is my next scenario going to be? There. And how do I know? Not because I've bought some extension to a game, not because I've bought, part 2 of such and such a set of scenarios. I've made my own up. And if you had this map, or you've got a map, you make your own up. I'm not saying that this is right. I mean, you could use things like Bill Lamming's book. Well, why? You've got a brain. Use your brain. Anyway, I'm sounding like a teacher, aren't I now? Why don't you do it yourself? But I really am passionate about the joy you can get from making your own maps, making your own worlds, and thinking about the world you live in, sort of adventuring around it, all the infinite possibilities of what you can find. So I'm going to leave you with that and say, ta-ra, Chuck.